Say Willie Nelson did one of your songs that became a #1 hit.
Wow, I love that. He's a great guy.
But it wouldn't matter that somebody else...
No, he's the one that's got to go on the road and sing it. I mean, like, you know, I could just sit home, you know, and get letters from Willie.
Yeah. Who did Hello? Who had the best success with Hello in there?
Well, Bette Midler initially is her first album. The world got to find out about Bette Midler. I mean, you know, like, everybody loved that first album because, wow, where did she come from? And Bette sings Hello in there. She sings it like it's a, when I heard her do it live for the first time at Radio City Music Hall, it was hard for me to remember that I wrote the song. I just thought it was a great, she was singing this great song, and like I had to remind myself that I had anything to do with it, you know. So that's probably my favorite version of Hello in there. But the song itself has been so good to me, like when I sing it every night, I get something back out of it. That I've heard other singers, I've heard guys that maybe some people would say they can't sing. I've heard guys with croaky, growly, low voices that just got a lot of emotion, or they've got a good storytelling voice, and they sing the song and I hear something different. I mean, in a song I wrote, I'll hear something different, and here I wrote it. And it's good to get a big payback like that on a song.
Is there any song that you've written that you could say, yeah, this really is John Prine?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I write at least one a year or one every 2 years. Sabu visits the Twin Cities alone. Linda goes to Mars. Like those songs, I don't see how anybody else would take like, you know, when I wrote Sabu visits the Twin Cities alone, it took me 3 days before I sang it for anybody because I couldn't figure out an excuse. Like, I know somebody's going to go, why did you write that? And I'll go, why did I write this? You know, I like the thing, but why did I write it? Why do you write about a guy, about Sabu out on a tour on the back of an elephant, like being confused and on the road? Like, you know, why don't you write some other kind of thing? Those songs, I don't believe they could come out of anybody else, you know. So I gotta put my name on it, and I gotta take credit for it. Like, yeah, in other words, I might get sent to jail for those songs, you know. It's like they're song police, you know, and they could very well arrest me any day.
It's a song about Sabu, the elephant boy. I'm going to tell the story one more time for anybody that didn't get it the other 100. Just in case you've never seen a Sabu movie, here's the rest of the story. Sabu was this 38-year-old man from India that played a 14-year-old boy from India in the movies. And most of his movies, they took place in the jungle, but the plot was kind of like a Grade B Western. It started out with Sabu riding through the jungle on the back of his elephant with nothing but a turban and a loincloth and a real dazed and confused look on his face. And somehow he'd come upon some people that were camped in the middle of the jungle or had a small house there or sometimes even a large mansion. These people all had one thing in common. They were in lots of trouble. They had many, many problems. So Sabu would ride on up to their camp or their little house or their mansion, and they'd get off his elephant and hitch it up and walk on in. And he'd stay with them for like 3 or 4 days. He never really helped out a whole lot. He just kind of hung around until they figured out their own problems and got out of their own trouble, and then he'd ride off into the sunset on the back of his elephant. A lot of these movies did pretty good at the Saturday afternoon matinees. This song is about one of them that didn't do all that good. At least the people that made the movie thought it should be doing a whole lot better, so they wanted Sabu to go on a promotional tour. They wanted him to ride his elephant around shopping malls in the Midwest in the middle of the winter and wave to all the kids, you know. Their idea being that if the kids had never seen a live elephant down at the mall before, they might ask who the guy was up on its back. Then they'd go home and hit Ma for some money and go see a Sabu movie, and everybody in Hollywood would live happily ever after. But they didn't plan on a couple of things. Sabu had never been anywhere but India and Hollywood. And he'd never heard of the Midwest, particularly in the middle of the wintertime. And there's several other reasons. When I wrote this, I stayed in my room for 3 days. I was afraid somebody was going to ask me what the song was about. It was a Sabu riding through the jungle looking dazed and confused. The movie wasn't really doing so hot, said the new producer to the old big shot. It's down on the edge of the great Midwest. Sabu must tour or forever rest. Hey, look, my, here comes the elephant boy, bundled all up in his corduroy, headed down south toward Illinois from the jungles of East St. Paul. His manager sat in the office alone, staring at the numbers on the telephone, wondering how a man could send a child actor to visit in the land of the wind chill factor. Hey, look, my, here comes the elephant boy, bundled all up in his corduroy, headed down south toward Illinois from the jungles of East St. Paul. Sabu was sad, the whole tour stunk. The airlines lost the elephant's trunk. The roadie got the rabies and the scabies and the flu. They were low on morale, but they were high on. Hey, look, my, here comes the elephant boy, bundled all up in his corduroy, headed down south toward Illinois from the jungles of East St. Paul, from the jungles of East St. Paul, from the jungles of East St. Paul.